So we have a connection that has come in through the merx.go file that has handed the information off to the public interface / authenticate methods to make sure that whoever is trying to communicate with us is valid and contains valid keys, and that they have passed us a package. We do not know at this point what the package is, but we're basically ready to start working with it. So now we're actually in the handle package.go file, and we're going to take a look at what it's doing. So it basically passes in our request. It passes in the BSV key, the dealer key, the dealer ID, and the dealer key, and then the database connection that we're going to be working with for this particular instance of the connection. It looks to see if we got a get or a post, because it's going to have to handle those differently. So it looks to make sure that if we did get a get request, then we set up we go out and get the information from it. Otherwise, it's looking to see if we got a post request. Now, so here's our get information, and right now we've got PO status, getting a PO status update or an inventory request. They're set up. And just a note, the current version of the MerX Go utility is not completely up to date with the actual interface specs. We're basically adding things to this merx.go as vendors are requesting, hey, we're ready to start supporting this extra thing. Then we'll go in and actually add the extra functions in here to support those classes. But this is not an all-encompassing program at this point, because we didn't want to spend a tremendous amount of time trying to support every single thing until the vendors actually stepped up and started using them. So this entire program will be changing, but the one thing that you'll notice here is the handle package. It takes advantage of structures and things that are in the Go language that allow us to basically set up an interface and tell it that these are the kinds of things that we want to support in a package, and it allows the system to be extremely generic in how it handles them, and then lets a more detailed version of that thing, or that class, if you will, know how to handle the package once it gets hold of it. So right now, the only thing we need to know is it get or post, so we know what functions to call. And here are our post functions. So we're interested right now, we're going to be going through in this series of videos on how to send a purchase order. So in this particular case, it's looking at sending a purchase order, and you'll notice here that we go out and we create our package contents, we grab the data, and then here it looks to see, did we get a PO send? Is that the URL that they called when they passed us this JSON object and the information that we're looking for? So if PO send is what got sent, then we're going to turn around and we're going to call a package called PO send, or we're going to create an instance of that package. So again, all of these packages they all know how to handle what they need, and all of them are identical in their layout. So it allows us to generically create a new class or a new object. And then down here is where we actually start calling functions that are inside that object. But keep in mind, each object is working with a completely different set of parameters. So, but they all share common functions inside them to do things. So right now we've got a PO send. So we create our class called PO send, and then right now we're just calling it generically, we're calling it package. We say if we got a package, then continue, otherwise we're going to return a 404 not found. And then we call parse package. This actually goes out, every single package knows how to parse itself. So it goes out, calls parse package, passes the information over, and then it basically builds up the package. It takes, in this case, if we're calling PO send, then it's basically taking all of the purchase order information, the part number information, all of that stuff. It's taken it out and parsed it into a readable package. And then we verify the package, so every single object knows how to verify itself. So it goes out and verifies that it has received proper purchase order information. If not, it returns a bad request. And then it calls process package, which goes out and actually does what it's supposed to do. So all of the packages all share these three functions, except that what they physically do are just happen to be different. So In this case, when it calls process package, if we got an error back, then it goes out and lists out the specific error codes and then returns it back to the handle package function that ends up returning it back to the vendor or back to the dealer's BSV system. So that is literally the whole file of handle package, because it is very it's very slick the way that Google and the guys over there wrote the language and how it handles the different structures and stuff. So the next video, we're going to actually get into the functions of the POSend object and how it's laid out and what makes it different, so that you kind of understand what's going on when it actually calls these functions.